Welcome to Goldboys Live, presented by Pickett Sports Hall of Fame Bets, Sleeper Picks. Josh, Brad, boy, some things in sports just are hard to believe, even whatever it is, how many hours later, 18 hours later, it's just, I'm still stunned. Rodgers goes down. We got to start there in terms of just your reaction, how you bet this from here. And man, what a wild, crazy night that was last night.
Wait, in the first two plays that Rodgers had, I was like, this man's gonna get killed out there. Like that O line was not doing them any favors. And you're probably in the same boat as me, Will, where I'm like absolutely devastated because I planted my flag on the Jets this year.
Yes.
I bet Garrett Wilson, Offensive Player of the Year, Robert Saleh, Coach of the Year, and Jets win the Super Bowl. So they kind of killed all that. But when in saying that, Aaron Rodgers under his season-long passing under did cash for me. So I guess some silver lining, but it just kind of sucks because I was telling my wife about this, more frequently now, I've been just planting my flag on one team, one or two teams. Before I would spread it out a little bit just to have fun, but I'm trying to maximize value. And unless they bring somebody in, my value is dead.
Yeah, we can go there. I mean, we can mention the names and what's realistic, and we can just throw out all the names. I'm sure some of the names you've heard. I mean, what's a great option now? I mean, we'll go through them. It's tough because I think what stings more for the Jets in a weird way is that you won the game and you sort of showed how much hope there was, how much how good that roster's so good. They're so good on defense. Horrible loss for the Bills. We'll get to that. But man, Wilson and Hall looked incredible for coming off an injury. So it's got to sting because Rodgers all these past years just needed a team. The Jets team just needed a quarterback. Look, he's older. He's behind a bad offensive line. Maybe it was just a matter of time before he's going to get hurt. So you don't feel too bad about it. And it's not bad luck. It's bad planning. But man, it's definitely, it was just as a fan too, man. It was such a fun storyline developing. And just, I wanted to see how it would work, what it would look like. And just a total bummer now.
Yeah, we got robbed. Yeah.
Just so obnoxious.
Real quick, I just want to be real clear. We're all just moving forward. He's not coming back this season.
He ruptured. Yeah,
he's ruptured.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's like a 9-month injury.
We're on that plane, and then the other storyline is just I guess not other storyline. The other question I just have is, what do they need at quarterback to be playoff to make the playoffs essentially?
Right? Yeah, I mean,
how good does that quarterback need to be when he comes in? I mean, what's Ryan Fitzpatrick doing? I think he's making DraftKings commercials, but just literally that, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, Rodgers was probably going to be somewhere between the 6th and 12th best quarterback, somewhere in that range. And with that roster, you could have won a Super Bowl. I just don't know who you get that could play at that level. I mean, look, we'll just go through names. I wouldn't think it's Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's been out of the league a bit now. He's been out of the league, I think, a couple years. I mean, if you're talking about somebody's backup, it's, I don't know, Gardner Minshew, like the Mariotas of the world. I don't know if Philly's just going to give you their backup. I mean, Davis Mills,
Carson Wentz
off the street. I mean, it's a pie in the sky, and I don't even know how the rules work. Could you call, would Brady even take the call?
I don't think he would.
He probably wouldn't. That would be the
if
first.
They had a good offensive line. I think he'd be like, hell yeah. But
yeah,
Brady was sick of getting beat up.
Plus, he's in Kraft's box the other day. He's tight with Kraft. Is he really going to do that where he's going to go play for their rival? That would be the fun one. That would be the one that would put them in contention. The other fringe ones, and I don't think this can happen at least right away. And I don't know how the cap works, which is a part of this. But Stafford, Kirk Cousins, could there be a scenario here? Probably not now, especially with the Rams. They won a game, but could one of those teams trade you a quarterback as a rented quarterback? Be like, hey, we're sort of tanking anyway. We'll help our draft status. You can have Cousins. You have Stafford. You could be pretty competitive with Cousins or Stafford. So again, I don't know. I threw a bunch of names out there, a bunch of options. To me, the end, the conclusion here is there are no great options. So
Jameis Winston,
again. I mean, what an indictment this is on Wilson. You picked this kid second overall, and you're talking about picking guys off.
That was my next thought. My next thought was are we all just gonna go ahead and assume
after winning too?
Wilson, right? And I mean, even the touchdown pass he threw to Wilson, which was just an incredible catch, one of the best catches I've ever seen, was a terrible pass.
He gets a little bit of credit for the only guy that could catch that ball was Garrett Wilson. He gets a little bit of credit.
Not really. It was right into the defender. He backhanded it to himself. I mean, it was a terrible pass.
I was trying, man. I was trying.
Yeah.
I don't have any options. What are you just throwing Cousins and Stafford out because you think their teams are going to be, basically out of the playoffs earlier than they might have wanted? Or
I mean, those are just guys you can't rule out, like Minnesota at some point. I mean, they're probably not going to do it right away.
I don't know why you would if you're Minnesota. Like, you don't have anything waiting in the wings.
I mean, I would just to semi-tank and get a good pick and be like, hey,
you're
I'm
a
time to
Vikings
move
fan
on.
who's probably over Cousins, I would imagine.
Yes, exactly. And like realistically, hey man, like you're probably not winning a Super Bowl with this guy. Like, get something back for him, tank, get into the top 10, maybe and get a decent quarterback and just sort of rebuild it. He's probably not going to be back next year, I think, with his contract. So if you get something, even if you could just offload the contract again, the contract aspect of it is tricky, but I mean, that's at least a guy that can give you something at quarterback for the Jets that, I don't know, is a respectable name. I'm just throwing out ideas. I mean, Rivers, remember last year when Purdy got hurt, if they made the Super Bowl, Rivers was going to come out of retirement. I don't know, would they go down the Rivers road? I mean, he's been out a couple of years. Him behind a bad offensive line probably wouldn't work. I mean, the conclusion is there's really no great options here.
Yeah, I think they're screwed. unless the team is willing to tank, like.
And they could sneak in and get a wild card. I mean, the rest of the team is that good. If they get in one of these guys, bring in one of these guys, I don't know, Tyler, a Heineke, a Davis Mills, a Minshew. Could you get to 9 wins and get in? Yes, but I mean, you're not winning anything. So
I don't think what's crazy is I don't think Hackett's a good enough offensive coordinator to get quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, this was all built around Rodgers. Hackett was Rodgers' guy. This was all built around Rodgers.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think they ultimately did? What would be your best guess?
My guess is that we see a trade for a backup quarterback that I haven't looked at closely enough who that might be. But I do think it's like, I mean, I'm just going to throw out a guy like Kyle Trask is when you
they're not going to bring
my point is when you have a quarterback that is slightly worse than, I mean, I don't know how much worse he is than Baker. The point is there was a QB battle there at one point, right? So
I can't see that.
Guys, I mean,
you're looking for the guy to raise the floor, though. You're looking for a guy, hey, who gives us the best chance to win this week? Like Kyle Trask, like that.
No, bad example. The point is like he's in a situation on a team where he's like the clear-cut backup that like was considered for a starting position. So where else is there a quarterback that's a better quarterback than Kyle Trask? But the point is like he was basically maybe battling for a job, and like I have to look.
So like what name would you guys what name would you come up with, Brad?
Man, someone expendable. I feel like if you made a call, you could get Jameis Winston.
Yeah, that's
what about
Dalton, somebody like that. I mean, these are
Colts.
What about Minshew?
Minshew's probably the most realistic one, or at least he's okay. The Colts would give him up because they have a young quarterback. They don't really care about winning this season. So Minshew's probably the best answer.
Probably Minshew.
Boy, I wish it'd be Brady. I would just love to see Brady just come back. I mean, it'd be such a fun story. It would give the Jets. I mean, how much fun would that be? But
he's available as a free agent in my fantasy league right now. I don't know if that's for
Brady would be pissed after taking 3 sacks in the first game, though. I couldn't wait to see his face when he's so angry how bad that offensive.
He gets rid of it faster than Rodgers.
He gets rid of the ball faster, and he's got the great rest. He's got a defense. He's got a run. I mean, he's got everything out. Like you can't have everything in the NFL. I get it. Like it's not a good offensive line with an older, not a mobile quarterback. You don't want that, but like you would just be able to come in and you don't need that much from this team to be good, as we saw last night. And it's just. If you guys have anything else to add, before we do that, I mean, what a terrible loss for the Bills. I mean, McDermott, that team needs a new coach. That is a dreadful performance. The pass interference, they declined to take the Jets out of field goal range. 2nd and 15 in overtime, they run a draw. You're up 10. You're up 10 against Zach Wilson, who can't throw the ball 6 yards on a line, and you lose that game. That's a terrible loss. Allen was bad. McDermott was bad. It's flying under the radar because everything's about Jets and Rodgers. That is an awful performance by the Bills last night.
An awful loss. And listen, so I took Bills money line when he went down, and I was going to buy back at plus 16.5 on the Jets, and it instantly switches to 13.5. And I don't know. I just go, nah, not worth it. I'm so mad because I just literally like, you could just tell that the Bills were not scoring as many points as everyone thought they were going to. Like when he went down, it went from like -3 to -5.5, and then to -7.5, and they didn't even score a single point. It was just like people just buying. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah,
and I think it was 12-1 on the money line at halftime. I mean, it might have even been, and it was only like a 7-10 point game, which in the NFL, I mean, 7-10 points is not a lot. So 12-1 on the money line. And I thought about it, but I had already had so much on the Jets. I was like, you know what, this is a bad night already. I'm not going to sit here and chase it. But man, I'm
pumped to bet unders on the Jets now. That defense is so freaking filthy. Quinnen Williams, I don't know, defensive player of the year not looks at this point like that. They're nasty. So I'm very down. I mean, look, McDermott as a coach is a reason to not always believe in the Bills, in my opinion, more than a reason to believe in them at this point, with in-game management and the like. And then with Allen in the offense, I think that defense is going to make a lot of teams look really bad. So if you're getting the Jets at like a 41.5 point total, like it feels like a pretty ripe under.
39.5 this week against Dallas. Dallas minus 9.5. That's they, you know what they did? It was 8.5. They took it out of that teaser zone where a 6-point teaser brings it under the 3, and that's just a great teaser piece. That's a great survivor piece. Now at 9.5, it's not as easy, but you know, I have the same thought process. Plus, they're just Jets are going to be ultra conservative. I mean, they basically just ran up with a bunch of tight ends and just ran the ball, which is, I mean, you're just gonna have to scratch and claw in these games. I don't know if you guys, Josh is old enough, Brad. I don't know if you're too young to remember when they made the title game with those Mark Sanchez teams. This is the same team where it was just run the ball, play good defense.
Yeah.
And, man, it's tough because it's just, you had Rodgers there. And it's just too bad.
It's unfair.
They ended up getting, I think that was Matt Forte at the end of that the run at the back for them. But now that Dalvin Cook pickup looks better than it ever has, in my opinion, because if you're just going to be running the ball 40 times a game at this point, you need 2 of them for sure.
Yeah.
So, but Breece Hall, man, wow.
What a
wow, wow. Yeah, I think we knew the answer to our question now that we were asking yesterday, which is like, which back do you start to support here? And it's him. So, did you guys want to look at early lines, or did you have some baseball stuff?
Nothing for me. Baseball, just quickly. I faded Wainwright again. Orioles first 5 team total over 3.5. I took Orioles money line. Wainwright was actually okay last start. He gave up 3 early against Atlanta. First pitch of the game, home run to Acuna, but he settled down and then it unraveled again. So look, Baltimore's a good lineup. I'm just gonna. Wainwright's one of these guys. Wainwright, Dallas Keuchel, Syndergaard. When he pitched, you fade him. You live with the results. He's been bad. He's been really bad. So I would think Baltimore would hammer him.
That makes sense.
Yep. Not a lot else I love.
I took Pavetta 6 Ks plus Devers 1 hit in a parlay in the Yankees game. I took and I tailed Ryan in a different way though. Ryan's gonna ladder Turner RBIs, not Turner, Devers RBIs. I just took him to get an RBI and to get a run. And then this one was really juicy. So like I get if you don't want to play it. But this dude he just doesn't have this strikeout capability, and that's Nelson from the Diamondbacks. I took his under Ks at under 4.5. It's a little juicy at minus 170, but he's just the Mets don't strike out a ton. He's just not that kind of pitcher. I think 5K is a big ask.
Yeah, that's a 1:30 Eastern game too. Red Sox Yankees. So that was a rain out yesterday. So we get that game, and then we got another day game. I think Royals White Sox. At least we get a couple day games here. Which
Royals White Sox.
Hey, it's a baseball game. It's in the afternoon. Help
game.
Pass the time along. Anything quickly back to football. Anything futures wise, this triggers a bet for you. Anything division. And I know a lot of people say, hey, now Miami can win the division. I think that's very feasible. I'll just leave it open ended. Does this trigger a bet for you guys in any way? I can give you the AFC East odds. Dolphins plus 135, Bills plus 145, Jets 6-1, Patriots 9-1.
I would say this is a good time if you didn't buy Robert Saleh to win Coach of the Year, because if they are a playoff team, I think you're getting more value. So
I totally agree. And what is he now? 14-1. So they didn't really move it. They moved it down, if anything. I think people are onto that angle. Yes, if they get in the playoffs, now you have to worry about the Packers. There's some other teams, but he is a very viable candidate. If they can somehow find a decent quarterback, get to 9 or 10 wins, it'll be. And that was a good coaching. I've never been a huge fan of him. That was a great coaching job by him last night. I mean, to keep his team up like that, I was happy that they won the game, even though it sort of made it sting in a weird way. So I agree that the narrative is definitely formed there that, you know what, Rodgers got hurt and he still kept these guys together. That one is absolutely in play if they make the playoffs, 100%.
Yeah, no, I wasn't looking in that division for any futures. I do think you can still get some value on the Chiefs at this point to win. They're down at minus 130. Like, I just don't love that division. I don't know who's going to take it from them. They might not need to win. I mean, they might be able to win 11 games and win that division as opposed to having to win like 13, like they were, at some books. But the other one was them, and the other division leader at this point would be the Lions, that I still believe in. And we'll see what happens with the Packers and how real they are, because I really don't believe in the Bears, and I don't think we learned enough about the Packers because they beat the Bears. So
yeah, that was impressive though. Love was really impressive.
The line, both their lines are good. Yeah, I'm not going to discount them. I don't know that I'll believe fully in them, even if they beat this Falcons team. They opened as a 1-point favorite on the road there against Atlanta. So there's some belief in them, and probably a lack of belief in Atlanta beating Bryce Young in his opener as a rookie. So, but yeah, the Lions I do believe in, and I do still believe in the Chiefs. So I think getting them, both those teams, close enough to even money if you want a division winner, feel good about both of them.
Yeah. Let's see. Somebody in the chat, Clean Money gives Tua comeback player of the year, keeps on 450. I just think if Hamlin takes the field, I think it's going to be Hamlin. Tua certainly has a shot. I mean, 7-1. I mean, I'm not going to talk you out of betting it. It was 20-1. I mean, you do have to worry about Tua getting hurt. I just think the bar is so low for Hamlin. As long as he's active a couple games, people are going to just be like, wow, what a story.
That's my thing with Tua is like, if you didn't bet him at 20-1 and he throws for 4, like he looks awesome, but like, I think that was pretty close to his ceiling. He played about as well as he could in a game where, it was just up and down like we thought it would be. But like, it's not about if he can do that. It's about if he stays healthy or not. So the risk of him getting hurt is still just as much there after one game. At 6-1, it's not worth it now because of the injury factor. The 20-1 was worth it with the injury factor.
I think you could still play Tyreek Hill at 8-1 for offensive player of the year.
I agree.
know it dropped, but I mean, that's just like what Jefferson after 2 weeks went down to 8-1.
Yeah. The only thing, again, if Tua gets hurt, how do you feel about your Hill bet? You have to keep that in mind, but I totally agree with you.
I was the one who tried to turn it to baseball, and then you left it before I could give my picks, just for the record.
Go. What do you got?
I got the Mariners. I'm fading Patrick Sandoval under 17.5 outs. Julio Rodriguez has 2 home runs and 8 at bats versus Sandoval. I'm taking a little bit on him to get a home run at plus 480, and I'm taking over 1.5 total bases at plus 115 as well for Julio. Those are my favorite bets.
All right,
nice. I have 2 lines that I want to give out in college football because they're going to move before we talk about them next. First one, Maryland team total over 30 and over 31 against Virginia. Virginia is 128th defensive success rate, 119th in defensive net points per drive. It's Maryland who's gonna just kind of throw the ball all over them. And then the next one is Syracuse minus 2.5. This will probably close around 3.5. You could play money line there if you want to play it more safe, minus 140. I don't like playing big line movers, but I think this gets into a dangerous territory before Saturday. So you'd want to play it now or lay off.
Notice how Brad didn't mention Bama. We haven't talked about Bama since then. So we'll have some time this week to talk.
No, Bama. Listen, I'm frustrated with Bama because we had all these quarterbacks who want to go to Alabama, like the veterans, and Nick Saban doesn't want to pay them any NIL money. And he says, we don't pay big NIL at Alabama. We want guys who want to come here. And we see what happens when you have a quarterback who can't throw the football. Like, if other schools like Notre Dame are going to pay guys like Sam Hartman to come there and they're going to be instantly competitive, you have to do it or you get left behind.
Right. Yeah. And look, you're always cautious to throw dirt on Bama, on Saban, but you do wonder, like, is this run of national titles, like, at some point everything ends, and the question, I think, at least is a fair one at this point, even though I don't know if it's for that. The
good news is we only have to endure 1 year of this kind of quarterback play. And then Julian Sayin, probably one of the best pure passers of football that we've ever seen in high school football, is coming to Alabama.
One thing I've noticed, I do want a couple more divisions I want to get to, and there are a couple lines for this week. I noticed just Bama that they don't have the same level of just embarrassment of riches at receiver, running back, where you're 2-3 deep with first round pick after first round pick. Like, that's not there. I think Georgia's probably cutting their town a little bit, but
Georgia, Kirby took that a lot from us.
Yes. So. Quickly back to NFL. Jags minus 190 to win the South. Like, I don't know. I could see the Titans, if they continue to not, like, if they get into a hole in this season, and again, we're only 1 week in, but like, do we see Will Levis at some point? I just feel like the Jags can get to 9-10 wins, and I just don't know if anybody, Texans, Colts, Titans, I don't know if anybody's going to get to the 9 or 10. Most people don't want to lay minus 190 for something that's not going to cash for 4 or 5 months, but to me, Jags are probably going to win that division. And if you can parlay San Fran at minus 500, that's about as free money as it gets. That team's going to lose. With how bad Seattle looked and how good San Fran looked, again, we're overreacting, but maybe we're not.
No.
I almost bet San Francisco to win the Super Bowl literally right after their game.
I already did. I did all that stuff right before the season. I hit them with the Super Bowl bet for FanDuel, so that I got all their wins.
It just felt like they were so inevitable in that game.
It's so easy. I mean,
everyone loves Pittsburgh too.
Be ready for the inevitable. Like, Kyle Shanahan does something weird happens. There's going to be something that happens where we start questioning them, and then by the end of the season, we're going to be like, well, it doesn't matter. They don't have any competition in the division, and then it's really just them and the Eagles. And we'll see about the Cowboys.
The
I don't know.
Cowboys, no,
and
absolutely
the
Cowboys are
Cowboys.
in
Yeah,
there,
that defense is
absolutely.
for real. But like
You know what I
that,
think I'm
I
gonna do?
parlayed the Niners division with the Jags and the Chiefs, and I also just did the Jags and the Niners, like just like a bunch of that shit because I just love those so much.
I think I'm gonna round robin 49ers and Jaguars to win their division with 49ers Super Bowl. Wow, I think I'm gonna do that. 20-1 if all three come through.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Have you guys bet anything for week 2 yet? There's a couple I like.
I didn't. What's interesting is I'm gonna pick them where we make 5 picks every week, and if you go 5-0, you get the money that week or split it with whomever. It's like a $45,000 pot, and my buddy wants to go Atlanta already at +1, and I'm actually feeling Green Bay at -1 even on the road right now. I do believe in them a bit more, so that was something that I did already hit, and then after I hit Green Bay -1 is when he hit me up and was like, "Yo, I'm feeling Atlanta."
I need to get back into the lab, man. I didn't win a single side or total last week, so
This one's ugly, but to me, Bears +3 at Tampa. There's even some 3.5 -120. I'm not high on the Bears. I bet them season win under, but these teams are just too even for me. Like Bears season win was 7.5, Bucks were 7.5, and now the Bears are 3-point underdogs. Why? Because Tampa won a game where they had 3.5 yards per play and they gave up 6 yards per play. To me, these teams are even-ish. Tampa's home field's not worth that much. It's certainly not worth 3. It's ugly, but I just think this is an overreaction. I'll take the Bears plus the 3.
And their and the line was -1.5 to start the season. Bears as a favorite.
Yep, this is just classic. Week 2, you get some weird lines where it's like everybody just overreacts. Yes, and I don't know that I have the guts to bet Seattle. I might end up betting Seattle +6 again. They looked awful. Detroit won at Kansas City, but that line I think was 3.5, something like that. Like those two teams are not that far apart. Now you're getting 6.5 with Seattle. And here's an angle. Like I'm not a big trend guy, but one trend that I do like: 0-1 teams getting points against 1-0 teams. You figure you're getting points. There's some overreaction because you lost, and you're just the more desperate team. So that's something to keep an eye on too.
Interesting.
The Ravens are 18-3-1 against the spread in their last 22 games as underdogs.
The Ravens are, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good as a dog. Harbaugh's good as a dog. A few of these coaches are good as a dog. Harbaugh, Vrabel, Tomlin. I don't know that that's almost a must-win game for Pittsburgh Monday night at home against Cleveland. Like if you lose that one, you're 0-2 and you're 0-2 in 2 home games. Like this can get away from you quickly.
Maybe they trade Kenny Pickett to the Jets.
Maybe they trade who?
I was kidding. I said maybe they trade Kenny Pickett to the Jets.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd want him if I'm the Jets.
No.
Could be worse. No, yeah, that was it for week 2. Honestly, I'm going to start looking at some touchdown props today as well. So come back with more later.
Nothing else futures wise. I'm looking at odds to win the AFC. Cleveland 10-1 to win the AFC. Jets probably not a contender anymore. Chiefs, I'm sure will be there, but
RG3 to the
since
Jets.
he looked bad.
That.
What's up?
No one said RG3 to the Jets.
Who said that?
You mean the football analyst?
I'm saying like us.
Oh, what do you mean?
Is he trying to play a possibility?
Football? I don't think he's played in like 4 years, but
yeah, but you don't know he has like that 2-way contract. He's been training every day.
That's true. Yes.
What do you guys think of Browns 10-1 to win the AFC?
Don't hate it. Do they play the Chiefs? I don't think they do.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, that would be the comp, right?
What do you mean?
That would be the top competition. Like if them and the Bengals
for the conference. I mean, Chiefs are +340, Bills 5-1, Dolphins 7-1, Bengals +750, Browns 10-1, Ravens 10-1, Chargers 11-1, Jags 12-1. So Jets now 30-1. My goodness.
Do you think the Browns defense was for real like that?
Yes.
I
think Schwartz is a real defensive coordinator. He's one of the few guys that actually matters. I think they have the talent. I think they got better against the run. I think absolutely. The one concern for me is honestly, Watson did not look great. And it's like, I was texting with McAfee, who does shows with us too. And he's, it's the weather. And last year it was the rust. Like at some point you run out of excuses. You just got to play good. Like we haven't seen this dude play good in like 4 years now. And part of it's suspension, part of it's whatever. Like, but yeah, that is a concern for me. Like I just don't know. There's no precedent for a guy missing 2 or 3 years of football, right, missing 800 days, whatever the hell he missed, and then coming back and playing well, not playing well. So you could say, hey, he'll bounce back. Maybe he will, but you could say, hey, that's just too much time. You miss that many reps and you never get it back. I have no idea. I don't think any of us know. There's no way to know. There's no precedent for it.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, boys, this was fun. Just a crazy night last night, but the show goes on. The show goes on in the NFL. You just never know what you're going to expect. I feel bad for the Jets fans. It's just a bummer, but appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern. Thank you to Pickett, Sleeper, Hall of Fame Bets. See you guys tomorrow.